Yeah, very, very cool. So we're just so everybody knows, we're going to get started around 10:15. I'm going to get things going around 10:10, just making some bulletin board announcements. I have it just fitting. I just released a song called "The Park," which is another way that me and Laura are in line. I work with the Waldorf School K through 12. Work with children. They're the future. I've learned. I've worked with them in my past life, but in the last 4 months, I've recently realize how much of a target they are with what I'm doing. And it's really fun. So, Jenny, oh, hey, Jenny, you were here.
Hi. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Good to be here.
Yes.
And meet Laura and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Let's see. Gaia. Hello, Gaia.
Hi there.
Hello.
I'm a friend of Laura's.
Yeah, I heard her say "aw" in the background when I said your name.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Gaia actually lives in Marshfield, and we met at the restaurant that my family used to own the day that she was going to look at like her 54th house.
55th.
55th house.
Yeah.
And it was the one that she took. So we decided it was a God incident and an angel wink too. And we've been friends ever since. And how many years ago was that?
That was over 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago as of March this year. Yeah.
Ooh, where fives are really special to me. So that's really cool.
That is very
I was
cool.
born in 55. Woohoo.
Love it.
Oh, and I just wrote 55 as you said that. My number is 355-0098. You said that. So I just, guys, just for those that are in the group, and Tonya or Tanya, I see your hand. Give me 1 second. I put my email and I put my phone number. So this is a WhatsApp group, the Sunday Journeys. If you're interested in joining, that's my contact information, and I'll be putting it again just because I know people who aren't here won't see it. And then Laura also will post her email and contact info when she will. And so who did we just say? It was Gaia, right? Yeah, I almost moved to Marshfield. That you're talking about in Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
Yep. In Massachusetts.
There you go, Larry. 355 is my building number. Come on, let's go. Cool. Yeah, I almost moved to Marshfield. Wish I did. It's nice there. Marshfield do they have the Levitate? Is that the concert?
Yeah. Levitate, actually, it just ended. It was last weekend. And then I don't know when you lived here, but now the surf shop also has a backyard concert venue.
Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna start doing shows there at their taco place, right? Is it like a taco place?
Yes, it is a taco place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I live like 2 miles from there. So I would love to come and check you out when you're there. And hopefully maybe Laura will also be in town and we could go together.
Make it happen. All right, cool. Look at that. .. equals Marshfield. Let's go. Tonya, I see your hand raised. What's going on? How are you?
Yes, hi, good morning. This is my first time on the call.
Awesome.
I've just recently gotten added to a couple more groups. I'm a fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I just wanted to know what the kind of the overall function of the group and what y'all do. So
yeah, definitely. That's something I was going to go over. I guess I could do it now. So just so you know, if you didn't hear me, I just posted my email and my phone number. So Sunday Journeys is something that we used to do once every Sunday, and we're bringing it back. We haven't done one in about four months, but we have the next 4 to 5 weeks lined up. And Sunday Journeys is a subgroup within the umbrella that we have, which is the Dot Connector community. And we're a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditating community. We meditate Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. and or 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then we also have a bunch of subgroups that I do that have intent behind them. Like a lot of, if you're looking for a pick-me-up, like we have these weekly calls that I put together, some things for manifesting, inner child work, things like that. But we also incorporate a lot. We have a very big community of people who offer a lot. So we like to incorporate things like that, which is why I like doing this call. What I mean by that is like we have people in our community that do breath work. I do breath work. I do visual meditation, and we incorporate that into our calls. And then the other thing I was going to say to that was I forget, which you'll see I forget a lot, but I also remember a lot. But yeah, so that's pretty much who we are, what we are. And as I just said, my info is in the chat. So grab that if you like to join or if you like to learn a little bit more about us. Was that good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and that was recorded, so you'll get to get that on record too, because I don't even remember what I said. So
You're too young to forget.
oh no, I like forgetting because it means I'm present. I love forgetting. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
good way.
Yeah.
I'm very much present then. Wow.
See, so if it falls off a cliff, that means you're present, and you're like, what the fudge was I just talking about? Good morning, James. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Robby, how we doing?
How we doing? You look great. How you feeling?
I'm doing well.
Okay, good. Sending love. Jim just had some surgery a couple days ago. If you wanted to dive into it for a minute, if not, don't worry. Just know that we got love sending it to you big time.
Yeah, I had a cut for skin melanoma on my face, so I got a nice knife cut on my face. I had a really good surgeon. It's looks a little smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Good.
But he had to go deeper than I thought he had to be too. So,
Make up a good story. While you were skiing in Switzerland.
There you go.
Beautiful. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, you're glad you're here, man. Feeling your energy, sending you energy. Beautiful.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing a great story today. So
yeah, big time. All right, so it's 10:10. Before we start, I'm just gonna play this song really quick. We have 31 people in the room. Thor, what's up, brother? I just saw you. Mario, what's up?
Robby.
Hello, Holly. So I'm going to play this song really quick. It just goes fitting within the theme of Lord Duksta. Then we're going to dive into everything. All right, guys? So this is a song that I made for the school, the PARC. It's a K through 12 Waldorf school. What's up, Danielle? It's a K through 12 Waldorf school. And I'm creating curriculum for them within music. So their entire year is making music for their whole school. But this is the first song that started it. But it's completely parallel with everything that Laura's going to share with us. So let's go.
Go.
Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We live and free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. One more time. Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We live and free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. Let's go. At the park, we committed to our best life. Love and learn and balance nature with the sunlight. You find your purpose through expression when it's done right. And we do it right every single time.
Let's go.
Pick up that paper, start expressing. We go within to find our blessings. The present moment, this is where we learn our lessons. The present moment is a gift that keeps on blessing. Life's lessons learned through natural progression. We are all one, connected, living through God's reflection. Life's lessons learned through natural progression. We are all one, connected, living through God's reflection. You could be anything that you wanna be. Just close your eyes, visualize what you wanna see. And what you see, just know that's all possible. Everything's achievable. Life is so unbelievable. Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We live and free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. One more time. Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We live and free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. Let's go. I am strong, I am bold, I am valiant, I am brave. I am the sun that fills your heart, I am the water in the waves. I am helpful, I am truthful, I am free. I am love, I am you, I am me. Yeah, we are all one with the stars. We are all connected, doesn't matter where you are. That's why we plant our seeds at the park, connecting all the dots from afar. Let's love it go. We're swinging from the swings in the trees. Close your eyes, let your body feel the breeze. We're loving in the moment to believe. Now let's go dancing in the rain and receive. We're swinging from the swings in the trees. Close your eyes, let your body feel the breeze. We're loving in the moment to believe. Now let's go dancing in the rain and receive this love. Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We live and free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. One more time. Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We live and free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. Let's go. We living free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. One more time. Yeah, we live and breathe through our hearts. We living free at the park. One with nature, plant our seeds at the park. We go within, express ourselves through the art. Let's go.
All right. Okay.
Oh, Robby, that was so great. Hey,
Let's go.
can you post the link to that song?
I sure can. So just so you know, we're going to get started now. And as we're going, I'm going to post a link to the group, the link to the song. Laura has her info and I'll have all my info. So everybody just go into the chat. And if you don't know how to do that, just put your hand up and I could walk you through it. But thank you for that. And I thought that was a really appropriate way to roll into this call. Again, so I guess we're going to get started right now. Welcome to Sunday Journeys. This week's guest is Laura Duksta, very talented lady who I met through Lala Deaton. And she shared a story with me. I threw a retreat about 3 years ago in Maine called The Summer of Love. And she came and presented her books, but she also shared her story. And I remember it's an incredible story that has to do with mystical moments, God, angels, overcoming, all that stuff. And it was the first time I heard a story that I could relate to. I was like, oh my God, like she's saying things like that I understand, and it really clicked with me, just the parallels that we had as far as experience with like and God and things like that. So actually, really quick, one thing I did want to announce is that we're going to be going 4 weeks in a row right now. So next week, guys, everybody on this call, if you're free, please join. I'm going to be the guest next week. I'll be sharing my Niagara Falls experience, which is all about everything pretty much parallel with what Laura's going to be sharing. A lot of mystical moments, a lot of moments with God speaking to me, living my purpose, and which is one of the reasons why we're doing these calls right here. And then the following week is Teresia, and then we have Rupina. Teresia is on this call, I believe Rupina as well. Small little snippet of Teresia. She couldn't see, and she manifested vision back into her life through meditation, belief, and mindset. So pretty incredible stuff. So don't miss that call either. And then on September 14th, we are going to be doing the annual 5K for Thor. Jim Fairchild, who's in the group with the orange shirt. That's going to be in Oregon. Join the group. You can find out more information about that. All right. So now, without further ado, Laura Duksta. Thank you.
All right. Happy Sunday, y'all. And thank you, Robby, for having me. It's so good to be here with some of you that I was just in Captiva with, and then some of my friends from different places and spaces who have joined. I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for how Robby and I met. It just is in total alignment with what I'm going to speak about today. And if you saw like the little promo, I'm going to talk about God incidences, angel winks, books, bald heads, or life's biggest challenges, opportunities. And it was, my whole life has been a series of following breadcrumbs and then really seeing how the dots all connect. So I love that when I was with Robby in Maine, which is because I moved to Nashville and I met Lala. And one day she pinged me and said, guess where I am, sissy? And she was in a town she said she was in Boston, Massachusetts at the airport. And I said, well, where are you? And it turned out she was in Scituate, Mass. I was like, so am I. And she was with Michael Hubley, who I know a lot of you know. And that was really, even though Lala and I had been on this kind of like spiritual and holistic path together, we really hadn't intersected in this Dr. Joe world. And that was where I got the invitation to attend Maine. And the beauty of Maine was I was really there to share with the young people. And not that many young people came, and they were having a grand time on the property. They had this huge fields and barns and chickens and bunnies. And I knew in my heart, there's nothing better for these young people than to be playing outside and enjoying themselves. And I had a scavenger hunt and a couple of things that I gave them, but I was like, they don't need direction from me when they can be doing this. And then the day that I was really going to share my book and my program, it rained. And it brought us all into the barn. So instead of presenting for the handful of young people that were there, I presented for all of us and everyone's inner child. And it was so awesome because I got to share a little bit more of my story. I knew that the young people that were there could handle a little bit more. And then we had some fun too, and did some of my, even my preschool program, which we do an imagination activity. And my elementary school program, we do these genius cheers and I shine cheer. So I really got to be in that space. And I want to talk a minute about this space as well. I have an angel, and we'll talk about her. Her name is Donna Lee Morrison. And I have two friends in my life who are Donna Lees. I'm from Boston. So you'll hear me put R's where they don't belong, like on the end of Donner, and leave them out where they do belong. So I have two friends in the physical realm with the same name, Donna Lee. And I asked one of them, because she just has this sacred space of a home and this angel statue, if I could come over today and do my talk from here. And I actually ended up leaving my place a little late, but always on time. Yesterday, I noticed that a cardinal and a pair of cardinals made a nest in it's a tall, thin poof of a tree, and it's not very big. And cardinals nested in it right at the bottom of my stairs. And this morning, as I was leaving and coming here and pulled my car out, they both flew right by my window. And so I just love and that we are guided, that our angels, that life goes on so clearly beyond this physical realm, and that our angels, spirit guides, God, love, life is here guiding us at all times, even when we feel like we're not on time. Because a lot of times I say that I'm practicing my patience, and that patience is genius. Because even in a life that feels very guided, there's definitely times of slowness, things not happening as quickly as I'd like them to. Usually what happens is that, you find out the reason after a bit. So I want to say thank you to Lala for her friendship in Nashville. And thank you to Robby for always acting on his inspiration, because I could use a little Robby in my beingness. I feel like I often have inspired ideas that I don't always act on. And Robby's a great example of just creating these communities, creating his music, getting in a car and driving for 2 days to make the next event happen, creating the incredible retreats. So really, thank you. And I hope you all, I know it's early for some of you, so grab your coffee or whatever helps you keep present and awake. And because my stories can sometimes bounce around, but I'm going to just do my best to give the Cliff Notes version. And then if we have a little bit more time, I'll go in and fill in some details. And also at the end, we'll leave time for Q&A for anything that you might have.
Yeah, and I'll just say your story will keep everybody up, and bouncing around is my style, connecting dots. That's how we do it.
So they're used to it?
Yeah.
Before I forget this, I want to just drop this in the space. Some people got back to me and said, oh, that's my church time on Sunday mornings. And, this is also a sacred space in church time. I wonder if we might create a later time where people could watch the replay together if they were interested.
We could discuss that on the side.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing it up. Awesome.
So where do we start? I like to go back to the beginning, because the first time that I had actually, I'll even go back a little further than that. My mom was a kindergarten teacher while she was pregnant with me. And she was pregnant with me during the whole school year, basically from November to June, and I was born in July. And she said that I loved being in the classroom with her, and the children, when she played piano, the children could see me bounce and, move around, and they loved doing that. And then it was July when I was born. And so there was no classroom and there was no fun. And it's actually I'm already starting to cry. So luckily I went and grabbed some tissues, because I can just really see how my mother wasn't aware that my father, he was in the Air Force and he wrote really great letters, but he was a raging alcoholic and she didn't know that. And so when I was born, there was not that like kind of like joy of the classroom. And there was, I get this now that there was this feeling of like, what is going on here? And what did I sign up for? And so there was a lot of just toxicity and terror, though fertile ground for who I would be and become in the world. So around 7 or 8 years old, I was in Sunday school class. I grew up in Massachusetts, along the coast, about halfway between Boston and the Cape, in a town called Marshfield. And I was in Sunday school, and the woman was teaching something about Jesus. And I had my first kind of like download or vision. I don't remember exactly what it was clearly, because I've heard a very clear voice that I'll share. And I don't remember if it was that voice, but it said, well, the feeling that I got was, Jesus means we're all brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter what religion, race, nationality, education, where we live, how much money we have or we don't have. Jesus means that we are brothers and sisters, that love is a given, that hate is not an option. That, and I don't know, this wasn't, at this age, these weren't my words, but this came through me. We don't have to agree or like people's actions and beliefs, but that doesn't mean that we don't love them. And I remember wanting to like raise my hand up and say, one day I'm going to travel the world, meet my sisters and brothers, and share this message of love. But I sat quietly and confused by what I was seeing in my life and in the world even. And then I realized too, for later on, because so I kind of knew that Catholicism didn't really work for me at a young age. I would just go to church and I would flip to the music section and I would sing in my head, "Let there be peace on earth," over and over again. But I realized later in life that constant image of Jesus on the cross, it was like, well, if you share a message like Jesus shared or Jesus meant to, it doesn't look like you've got a very good outcome. And I don't think that, religion or Christianity takes responsibility for some of the trauma and terror that they might be inducing in, putting into a children's life or heart. We see, especially as children, but even as adults, we see things and we make a meaning out of them. And it's not, we don't always know to get it cleared up, or it might not be the meaning that they're wanting us to take from it. So there was that. So I just kind of like sat back, and who knew the path that would unfold to have me fulfill on that vision. So in about fourth grade, I used to bite my nails raw. And I was a practicing Catholic though, and we would have Lent for 40 days, make a sacrifice and give something up. And I chose, so I was about 9 years old, chose to give up biting my nails, which is really challenging for a 9-year-old to do. But I did it. And it was years later, at a book expo in Chicago, a woman, we kept running into each other. There's like 10,000 people there. And she just kept being like in the bathroom line together, the bus line together. And she's like, I just get this feeling that I'm supposed to interview you. You are, she's like, I write for a yoga magazine in North California, but there's something about you that I want to learn more about. So she was the first person who made the connection. Let's see. So I stopped biting my nails, and shortly after, I had a small patch at the back of my head. Probably by like 9.5, 10 years old, I had one small bald patch at the nape of my neck, but I had long brown wavy hair, and I could hide it easily enough. But my cousin and my best friend, when they would braid my hair, would notice it. But it was just the one patch. Then by the time I was going into sixth grade, so I had that for about 1.5 years, going into sixth grade, I was like a child with a really god-awful comb over, trying to hide all the bald patches that were now on my head. My hair was really falling out in clumps. And by October of that year, we had gotten a diagnosis finally that it was alopecia. This is at Boston Children's Hospital. The doctor told my mother, it's alopecia. There's really not anything we can do about it. Get her a wig and no one needs to know. And my mom knew that that was terrible advice, but she shared it with my father, and he's like, that's what the doctor said to do. That's what we're doing. So I didn't go to school for 2 days. I got a really god-awful wig because I have a very small head, it turns out. And the wig was just like made for, an elderly woman and didn't stay on very well and was a terrible style. And I didn't look at myself in a mirror for 10 years without the wig on. I just felt like that there was something wrong with me. I became very, very introverted, very, I was never diagnosed with depression, but I'm sure that there would have been that diagnosis if I had allowed my mother to send me to therapy like she begged and pleaded to do. And, but it was kind of like my cocoon time in some ways. So yeah, I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I wouldn't say the word wig. I wouldn't look at myself in the mirror. I started looking for love in all the wrong places. I started drinking way too young. I started thinking that any guy that looked at me the right way liked me and that was a good thing. And I was a hot mess. So, and I never really felt like I had any friends. My cousin and her best friend kind of took me under their wing. They were 4 years older than me, which wasn't really a good thing either, because here I was in junior high, hanging out with high school and then college people. And then I got to, and I felt like the girls in my high school that I was friends with were my carpool girls. Just didn't, I came to find out that I was telling myself a story, that there was something wrong with me, that I was never going to have any friends or be able to do the things that I like to do. I loved to do musical theater. I loved being on stage, and I just stopped all of that. And then I got to college, and I ended up with a roommate for the summer. And we met at Pizzeria Uno for the first night to just kind of get to know one another in Harvard Square. And her name was Donna Lee Morrison, and she was an art student at the Fine Arts Museum School in Boston, and we were going to be roommates for the summer. And we ended up having a great friendship in time, and we would love to go out dancing and just, I finally, I knew we were friends. We had a great time together. And then I decided that I was going to transfer to University of Maryland from Boston College. And she said, well, if you're going to Maryland, and so am I. And that's when I was like, wow, like she's really my best friend. And so she worked till 10 p.m. on Friday night. And we loved to go out dancing. So we were going to leave Boston and go to the out dancing in New York and then go to DC. And I called a friend who was just kind of an acquaintance of ours, a dancing buddy from the clubs. And I said to him, hey, Marvin, it's Laura and Donna from the clubs. We're going to New York next week, and I know you were just there. Where should we go? And he gave me the names of places. He's like, oh, definitely check out the World and, wherever else. And so we left Friday night and we went down to the World and danced probably till close to dawn, and then got in the car and went down to DC and got her a job and an apartment, a job on M Street in Georgetown and an apartment on M Street and a job in Adams Morgan. We had dinner at one of her best friends she was from Maine, so there's all these dot connects. She was from Maine, and one of her best friends from growing up was living in Maryland. So we stopped by there and rested for a bit and saw her. And then we went to Pizzeria Uno in Georgetown and Paper Moon and got back in the car to go to New York to go out dancing. We were 19 and 20 and thought we were indestructible and or invincible. And she begged to go to this one place, 1018, or sometimes it was called Roxy. And I was like, it's not good right now. And she's like, no, I want to go. Everybody always talks about going. And so she won and we went, and it was young, but there were like five gay guys voguing in the back. So we were back there dancing with them and got back in the car. And as we pulled onto the highway in Connecticut, I heard a voice tell me to put my seatbelt on. And this was 1988. And I said, I don't wear my seatbelt. It said, put your seatbelt on. I don't wear my seatbelt. Put your seatbelt on. I said, okay, well, then I should tell Donna to put her seatbelt on too. And the voice very clearly said, no, it needs to be her choice whether to wear her seatbelt or not. And the song, Every Little Step You Take by Bobby Brown came on, and that was one of our songs. And we were just kind of like jamming to it in the car and smiling and dancing. And then the next thing that I remember was being upside down in the car. The car had flipped over like 2.5 times, and she had flown through the windshield without her seatbelt on. And somebody was banging on the window to get me out. And I remember trying to like break out of my seatbelt. And I was wearing a t-shirt that said, will somebody rescue me? So they brought her to the hospital, and both of us to the hospital in ambulances. And she ended up gaining her wings that night. She had too much internal bleeding. And we found out, so the funeral, we had just found out that her cousin from Maine, who she grew up with like a sister, was also transferring to University of Maryland. They had been in a little bit of a fight over Donna wanting a fake ID. And they hadn't spoken in a while. And she just had found out about a month prior to this that Sarah was also transferring to University of Maryland. So when I saw Sarah at the funeral, and we were supposed to be going to school in 2 weeks, we're like, are we going to go? This seems really hard, but maybe meant to be since we're both going to be there. So we did. So I'm in this Maryland's a huge school, and there's tons of dorms. And it ended up that we were both in the same dorm, just rooms away from each other, one floor, and there were stairs right there. It took me like 2 minutes to walk to her room. But as my father walked me to my room, which was the very far end of the hallway, in a shared bathrooms on a hall and a shared room, there were 2 stars on the door, Laura and Donna. So my friend that just passed in an accident with me was now going to be my roommate in college. And I don't think I called her by her name the whole year, because even though I have an incredible relationship with my angel now, and she started showing up immediately. And what was pretty cool about it, but I didn't make all these connections immediately, was that she claimed to be an atheist. And growing up in Boston in a pretty sheltered, like kind of like religiously, it's not like I judged her for that. It was just I guess I thought if she thought she was an atheist, then she must be, or her life doesn't go on, but maybe somebody else's does. The biggest thing that I've gotten from her death is to know, like without a shadow of a doubt, which, this is the advanced class, but there's a lot of people living in the world who don't know that life goes on. And I got to know that no matter what your beliefs are, life goes on. Energy goes on. And
it's not up to you, right? It's just how it is. That's just
So it's not because of what you believe. It is. And that's a really incredible it's a really incredible knowing to have. So it's like one of the things that people get most scared about in life and keeps them from like maybe fully living a lot of times, or just has them questioning that. And so like to have this like awareness that life goes on is awesome.
Hey, can I just chime in really quick? Because I relate to this so much. Everything you said, I've experienced as well. And I just like, if anybody wants to, just put your emoji hand up if you can relate to this. Just curious. Sorry, Laura, keep going though, but this is so powerful.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I see Michelle giving some and Larry, Phyllis. Yeah. Again, this is kind of how it felt like in Captiva. We're the advanced class. We have been in these conversations too, that there's just more to us than our thoughts and beliefs and our physical selves. So it didn't mean that it was easy right away. I think I cried every day for 3 years at some point during the day, just, like a memory, a song, just feeling like all the emotions. Though, I'm always saying that there's nothing wrong with crying, but it wasn't like, oh, awesome, now she's my angel. Though it got to that point. So after college, I decided that I was going to move to South Beach, Miami for 3 to 6 months before going back to get my master's. My cousin thought that sounded like a fun place to go. And 6 years later, it was in the 90s, I got myself involved in all the things that South Beach has to offer, and a swirly mess. But, it was also like, it was the days of ecstasy and acid and mushrooms. And so there was also like, I remember eventually what ecstasy was helping me believe was that there was a space of love that was available. And even though I was caught in the swirl and the mess of it, I knew that there was a way to get there without the drugs. But I was in this swirl and mess. And then a friend of ours was one of the bartenders at the Clevelander. If anybody's ever been to South Beach, Miami, you know the Clevelander. It's on 10th and Ocean Drive, like the biggest place. And I was managing and bartending. I wore wigs the whole time, the hot heat in this crazy place that everything's accepted, but I still didn't accept myself. I gotten a little bit more comfortable with the conversation and being able to change them. I also will share this, that I realized pretty early on that even though I still felt like there was something wrong with me and I was miserable, I knew that I was learning lessons about life and compassion and empathy that I would never trade for my hair. And so then I get to South Beach, and a friend's brother is going to open a nightclub. And he'd come down to South Beach all the time. He was opening a nightclub in Hartford, Connecticut. So Rachel, I shared that my 3 biggest life things happened in Connecticut. And so a bunch of us went up to the opening of this nightclub, and it was a Thursday night. So the liquor license in Connecticut is only till 12 o'clock on weekdays, or it was back then. So that's just about the time we would be getting ready to go out in Miami. But there's opening night, so the club is packed, and I'm standing underneath the DJ booth. The DJ booth is up here. And I'm standing against this wall at this point, and there's like a small raise that I'm on, and then this packed nightclub opening night. And the DJ plays this song, and it has these beautiful vocals. And I start crying. Just tears start pouring down my face that uncontrollably. So after, I don't hear the words. So after we're doing our own little private after hours, and I say to the DJ who doesn't know me, I'm like, you played this song. He's like, I know which one. And he's like, come with me. And we went upstairs, and he went to put the song on. And I was like, no, it was the beginning. And he's like, no, it's not. And he dropped the needle in the middle of the record. And these vocals played, and tears started pouring down my face. That, like, they must have been pouring out of my ears too. I could not hear the words. So he sent me a cassette to South Beach. But later that same night, after the opening of the club, my sister was in a toxic marriage, and she was now pregnant with her second child. And I had seen it. I had been over at their house. They had a townhome, and her husband were in a big argument upstairs. And I saw my nephew, who was about 2, peek in like the sliding glass door and look up. And that was like, I know it was like a point when like my heart and this idea was germinating. And I really saw like, this must have been what I felt like as a child, just like not having words to be able to explain what was going on. And this is your world. And it's like, what the hell am I doing here? Because it doesn't feel good or right, even though you don't have the words to express those ideas. So my sister called the same night as the opening of the nightclub and had said, Doug and I got into a big argument and he left. And usually what I would do, she lived in Florida too, would be drop everything and go over there. But I couldn't that night because I was in Connecticut. So I found myself praying for my sister. And I was like, oh, this is strange. I don't really pray like this anymore. Dear God, please watch over my sister. She could really use your help, and I'm not there. now I kind of see what happens when we get out of the way. So I'm praying for my sister, and a voice clearly answers me. The same voice that told me to put my seatbelt on. It says, "Your sister's fine. Pray for your nephew." And I was like, oh, this is even stranger. Not only do I not pray like this, but something just clearly answered me. And as I began praying for my nephew, the idea for "I love you more" poured through me. Oh man, I didn't bring that original paper. To the point, and I never aspired to be an author, never aspired to write anything. I got up and pulled out a piece of hotel stationery. It was the Ramada Inn on Asylum Street, which made some sense. And the idea for this book is pouring through me, and a friend wakes up and says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm writing a children's book." And so the next day I started talking about, I'm going to write this book. It's called "I Love You More." It was not a phrase that my family and I used. We said, "I love you too." We say "I love you more" now, though it's even awkward still because it's just so in our space to say I love you too. But so he sends me a cassette to Miami, and it ends up being the last song on the cassette. And I wish that we had cameras back then, although I'm also really, really glad we didn't. My cat, I had this gorgeous Persian Himalayan cat, and
That was really funny. Sorry. Sorry. I'm also glad we didn't.
so glad we didn't.
We don't. Yeah.
So glad we didn't. Oh my God! I think there is some black. I know there's some blackmail pictures out there, but they had to be digitally, processed. What we weren't taking pictures and videos with our phone and posting it to social media. Thank God. So the song is called "Shine" by the Space Brothers. Never heard. It was new, and it was a Paul Oakenfold remix. And the words say, "There will be feelings you have never felt. There will be questions in your mind. Your sister left your side to help you grow, and now she watches while you shine. The soul of an angel touched from above. Your spirit is shining, surrounded by love, the soul of an angel." I mean, how are there even words to a song like that? It turns out, and I'm going to jump, I found out, I must have done some research, and I found out, I was like, how was this a song and why was it written? So I must have seen an interview with the two guys, the Space Brothers, Ricky and his partner. And one of them saw a story about conjoined twins, that at one point, one of them ended up meeting, and they weren't young. They were at least tweens, maybe a little bit older. One of them had to give their life for the other one to survive. So Ricky was really moved by that, and they wrote this story. So 4 or 5 years ago, I reached out to Ricky Simmons and sent him a message and said, "Your song has meant so much to me. I have this book," and it poured through me. And he didn't see the message until about maybe like 6 months ago. And he wrote me, and he's like, "I'm so sorry. This ended up in an others folder, and I'm just seeing it." And I'm like, "Oh, it's so beautiful." I said, I just gave a TEDx talk, actually, and I share the story in the talk. And so he's like, "I'm in Thailand right now." He's like, "I'm getting ready to go out to dinner." But then he wrote me back. He's like, "I had to take the time to watch your talk." He's like, "It has me crying good tears." And now he's inspired to work on this other new project that he kind of put aside about love. And so
Let's go.
So brilliant. And he's like, now we're connected. And he's like, "I can't tell you how much it means to me to have this connection and this story." So holy awesomeness. So this book, and this is November, a long time ago, November of 97. In February of 98, the guy who owned the nightclub asked me to come up and run it. And that finally pulled me out of South Beach, which was awesome. And, I know that that's the reason why I got there. I lived there for 8 months, and that was the summer that I turned 30. And about 2 weeks before my 30th birthday, I told my friends, "I'm not going to wear wigs anymore." And it wasn't even a thought before. And we had Tuesday nights off, and there were two great parties in New York City on Tuesdays, Life and Chaos, and either one would have been appropriate, but we chose Life and had my coming out party as the bald chick. And um, it was just, had a really, I had a I had an incredible friend that ended up living with me in Connecticut, and his name was Michael Morrison, and my angel's name is Donna Lee Morrison, and he was the first Morrison that I ever connected with since the accident, which was 10 years prior. So he was just like, why do you give a F about what anybody thinks about, you and your bald head? And it was just the energy that I needed. He'd kiss my head and, just made it seem like it wasn't a big deal at all. The other thing that happened was that I realized that this is not what I meant to do with my life. I was managing a nightclub now, not a bar, and there was all kinds of like GHB and things happening, and I was like, this is not what I meant to do with my life. And I had the idea for the book, but I had no idea how to take the idea and make it a book, and I hadn't started doing it yet. Turns out I needed to lose the wigs because I didn't realize how consumed I was with the whole wig conversation. Do they know? Is that why they're complimenting, my pretty red hair? I had gotten comfortable enough at my end of South Beach. I used to wear this pin straight red, really pretty red wig. And people would be like, how do you get your hair so straight? I'm like, it's a wig. You can too. $100 at Meet Me in Miami, on the corner of Washington and 14th. But I shed the wig, and it wasn't until I was reading Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, and I know Sherry was just there at Temple of the Universe.
Yes, last week.
Space outside of Gainesville, and he talked about liberation, and I was like, oh my God, yes, that's what it was. Like I said, I just didn't know how consumed I was by the whole conversation. So I moved back. But instead of moving back to South Beach, I moved to Fort Lauderdale in October. And it must have been the beginning of November. I was recovering from a hangover on the couch, and I said, there must be something better to do with my life. And not highly motivated, but divinely motivated, I started flipping through the TV stations. And I found Wayne Dyer speaking on TV. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I was talking about. It turned out that it was his first PBS special, Wisdom of the Ages. But I didn't know him. I didn't know that anybody else believed and thought like I did in my heart. And everything that he was sharing, I was like, yes, yes, yes. He shared a quote from Ode to a Grecian Urn that said, in beauty there is truth, and truth there is beauty, and that's all you need to know. And I just felt like that was the experience that I was beginning to have. Just being my truth, like all of a sudden, my beauty appeared too from the inside out. But, and now, and it's surreal. And there's a lot of people with alopecia that have this experience that have owned their alopecia. We get told we're beautiful more than necessary. And my friends will say, do people say anything? And I'm like, oh, just follow along for a day. People will stop their cars and they're like, you're so beautiful, you go girl. Now, sometimes people think that I'm going through chemo. So they think that I'm owning this really big challenge, and it is a big challenge, and I know that it's not, I'm not fighting for my life or, dealing with something that, so being mindful of my words in this space. So, and it was, it's emotionally, I am a part of a lot of groups now, and everybody is meant to have their own journey with it. And of course we can offer our stories to share that there's another side, but when a parent has a child that's losing their hair and they feel like there's nothing they can do about it, and they try everything. Is it mold? Is it something that they're eating? Some people swear it was dental work. I heard a doctor say, and this goes back to the other story with the nails. I heard a doctor say at the first conference that I had gone to, I think it was also when I was 30, they can't prove that it's stress related because it happens to children. And I was like, did those words actually just come out of your mouth? Because that's so asinine. Because stress is relative, right? Stress can be a difficult pregnancy that a child goes through, a divorce, a bad grade, a move. You know, it can be something that you're eating and that is causing stress to your body because you're allergic to it or your body just knows that it's not good for you. So I was like, oh, that's asinine. But that was the woman who interviewed me for the yoga magazine asked. She said, well, does the alopecia affect anything else? I said, a lot of people have a lot of other issues, thyroid, a lot of other autoimmune conditions, but it's hard to say if the stress of losing your hair for so many people, does that lead to more stress in your body and break down more systems, or, are things just related? I said, and a lot of people have really terrible nails. I said, but I have really great nails, and I used to keep them wicked long. Wicked's a Massachusetts word. And I always consider it a gift from God because I stopped biting my nails in 4th grade. And she's like, oh, she's the one who made the connection. She said, when did you start losing your hair? I was like, oh, shortly after. She's like, well, this is a form of stress release. So when you stop biting your nails, your body found another way to release the stress. And that was through the gift of my hair loss and alopecia, because now I see it as my biggest gift. And I would never in a million years trade my hair for who I am and the message that I get to bring to the world. And I feel like I wasn't doing a really great job of speaking up. And that was in part because all I heard my father say was, shut up, Carol. And so it wasn't safe to speak up. And then, had the Jesus thing going on. So I feel like with no hair, it's like almost like God called on me. Like, I'm going to make you visible. I'm going to make you stand out, and I'm going to get, and you have something to share and something to say. So I appreciate it now. Another thing that I did, because I want to, offer this too, is that, I was working with a mentor, John DeMartini, for a while, who was one of the guys from The Secret. And he had some really powerful work that helped me see that there's everything has an equal amount of benefits and drawbacks. So you're either seeing something and you have it elated on a pedestal, but that still has you swinging in emotion, or you're depressed about something because you're only seeing the drawbacks. But when we balance them, we come into heart center. We come into like, I love you, thank you for this experience or this event. And then we're in an empowered or inspired space. So that was really helpful in helping me. And I found him, I'll get back to the Wayne Dyer story. And then I did landmark education, and it's like opposite ends of the quantum of transformational work, John's work and landmark. John kind of says that everything has meaning and purpose, and landmark says everything's empty and meaningless, except for the meaning that you assign it. Well, actually, even still, it's empty and meaningless. But the meaning that I had signed my bald head was that this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I was never going to have any friends, never be able to do the things that I wanted to do. And then in one of the courses, they had you take on making up different stories. So I was like, oh, well, I'm from another planet and I needed to come in incognito until it was safe for me to shed and become my true self. And I still kind of think that story might be true, but, and now I just have a story that empowers me, and it's still a story, but that it makes me memorable and marketable as an author, not that it has me stuck and stopped. And life is an onion, and there's still layers sometimes to peel in all of our stories and journeys.
Hey, Laura, really quick, I want everybody, if they're not noticing, just the framework of how you approach life, right? This is so important. It's so beautiful. Just how you're saying, how you're experiencing, you're aware of everything around you. It's really beautiful. So it's 11. If they're by 11:15, no rush. Just want to give you a little framework for, I'd say, that's it. But yeah, God, yeah, seriously, it's your thought process within everything that's going on
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I said I was going to do the Cliff Notes version, and I get caught in stories. And I know that you're going to jump in the car at 11:15. So I didn't know how to transition into being an author, and I thought that I had a picture book. It needed pictures. Somebody was going to do the pictures for me, but they got really busy. And then I was looking for a mutual friend's number. I remember like kind of like knocking on my friend Karen's door and being, I feel like I just like she opened the door and I said, "Do you, I'm wondering if you have Mira's number." This is so weird, but she's like, "Why? What do you have?" And I was like, "Well, I wrote this book about love, and I need somebody to illustrate it, and I know Mira's an artist." She's like, "Well, I might not be a famous artist, but I know what love looks like to a 5-year-old." So Karen had loved art when she was a child, and she was told, "You can't do this." And she pulled out a bag of pastel chalks that she had gotten at a yard sale for 50 cents. They were broken pieces. And we started making the pictures together. I had no idea. I had no idea that publishers didn't want a picture book illustrated. Um, and and I just had no idea like what we were getting into. So there we sat, we drew the pictures. She had a really hard time doing the people. So she was like, "Oh, we shouldn't use people on the front cover." But she was drawing these pictures and they just were coming out like big and beautiful, just really childlike, and with a lot of love and energy poured into them. So I wrote the book and I thought that I had it perfect and done. And then I showed it to my mother, who was a kindergarten teacher for 38 years. And she said, "You're off to a good start. And not every picture book needs to rhyme, but this one really, I think, should." And I was like, "What do you know?" But so she was my first editor, and I went back and made the whole book rhyme. And this is part of what I share on my school program too. And then when I first wrote the book, it went front to back. And it was a mother and son because it was written for my sister and my nephew. And it went mother, son, mother, son, mother, son, front to back. And after I made it rhyme, I showed it to my sister. And she said, "Oh, I think this would make a really cool flip book if you pulled out the mom story and the son story and had them meet in the middle." And I loved that idea. But that meant that I needed to rewrite the whole book because now all the pictures that rhymed weren't going to rhyme. And then we sent it out to a handful, really just a handful of publishers and agents. And we had some really cool, like we had gotten an endorsement from Mark Victor Hansen. That was like, well, John DeMartini endorsed the book, but he said, "Nobody knows me. Send it to my friend Mark." Mark gave us a great endorsement for it. And he said, "I'll send it to my agent." But his agent wrote us back and was like, "Nice to meet you, but I only represent people that are like celebrities or athletes, and, no, thank you." And another publisher said that it was too godlike, which there's no mention of God in the book unless you believe God is love, then it's all God. But I got on a phone call at the very end of July of 2001 with a guy who called himself the book coach. And there was nobody else on this call but me. He's like, "This is really strange because usually we have like 10 to 20 people on a call." And I was like, "Well, when you hear my story, you won't think it's strange." So I told him, filled him in on everything. And he's like, "You need to self-publish." Those were two words that I'd never heard together. He's like, "You have a great idea. You have all this enthusiasm. You have an awesome endorsement. You'll need $10,000 in these 2 books. And here's the number of a printer overseas, and they have an agent in LA. Call them." And I was like, "What part of $10,000 and unemployed bartender did you not hear?" But my mom was a kindergarten teacher, so she was on vacation. And I went down, actually, like walking down to the pool, I had the thought, well, I have 10 cousins, maybe they'll all chip in $1,000. And I went down to the pool and I shared with my mother, and she's like, "Well, I don't have a lot of savings, but I have great credit. And if we can figure out a way to print the books, let's do it." And I was like, "Okay." And so she had somebody come into her classroom who had self-published a book, and her, like an older woman, and her son had helped her. So she was familiar with self-publishing. And to the news cafe and book stand, one of the centers she had in her room. So we started a company in August, which was on the same day that the accident had happened, some over 10 years prior. And then my favorite number and time for a while before 2001 was 9/11. I have a soul brother, and we have an incredible connection, and it has to do with 9/11. On September 10th, we packed up the illustrations into a FedEx envelope and sent them to Hong Kong to be scanned. And at 9 a.m. on September 11th, 2001, I had a phone call with my coach. And so shortly after 9, her husband was like, I think you need to get off the phone. My sister's like, I think you need to get off the phone. And my coach said, there's nothing that's more important than this book right now. Not knowing what was happening, but still believing there's nothing more important than this book right now. Because while all that terror and fear was plaguing the world, love was also flying through the world. And standing in the next couple of days, though, like not knowing what the world was going to look like in 3 weeks or 3 months, with $10,000 borrowed off my mother's credit cards, actually a little bit more, we said, we're going to go through with this. And we said, well, now more than ever, the world will need our book and its message of love. So we went through with it. We had set an incredible, challenging goal of having the books by October 29th, because my mentor, John DeMartini, was going to be in town speaking at the Science of Mind Center, which is where I saw Wayne Dyer speak for the first time. And then I had started taking classes there. The books arrived that morning, with no guarantee. And then the next Friday, Wayne Dyer was presenting at the Science of Mind Center again. And so I went early, and I had, the copy of my book, and I was going to ask him for an endorsement. And I was sitting in my chair by myself prior to the night starting. And I know that I looked down, because I was learning that, God is just as much inside us as omnipresent. And I wholeheartedly said, thank you, God. And I very clearly heard God say back, no, thank you. So it was like, God, spirit, source was acknowledging, like, yes, I sent you with this assignment, and you're on it. And so I gave him the book that night, and I feel like it was the next day, but it must have been Monday, his endorsement arrived in the mail, which was so beautiful. And
let's go. Come on.
And written in purple ink too, handwritten in purple ink. And then we'll super fast forward, because I wanted to share this story. I was working on my third book, I'll Hug You More. And I had a new editor at this point, and I had gone through several different editors. Editors very rarely stay at a publishing house. And I had submitted, and he was like, oh, we have something to go on. I'll get you editorial notes. It was like a year back and forth of like him saying he was going to get me notes and never getting me notes. And it felt like just like forever that this book was taking to write. And I was living in Nashville, but I had won tickets to a Hay House event in Orlando, and I was bringing Lala and a couple of friends and my friend Holly, and I was looking forward to introducing them to Wayne. And about 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior to the event, he passed. So the event kind of became his memorial service, which was really incredible to be at. But the night that I arrived in Orlando, I had taken a really, really long drive. I got there at like 11 o'clock at night to my friend's house. I wasn't feeling good. I had eaten some oysters that I think just didn't agree with my stomach, and Apalachicola. And, I told my friend I just want to go to bed. And about 3:30 in the morning, which was known as Wayne's time, all of a sudden I had like the inspiration of how to write this book. And it poured through me, and I was like, no, I do not want to write this book right now. And usually I'd get a piece of paper, but I ended up grabbing my phone and writing down the ideas that were pouring in. And it's just about 11:11 here in the East Coast.
I was just about to say that when you're done.
And then in the morning I got up and I was like, we had a kind of a busy day, but I wrote my editor an email. I was like, listen, if today happens to be the day that you're finally going to send me notes, don't, because I have a new way that I'm going to write the book. And I had half of it written and I hadn't thought of how to make it a flip book. But that night I sat down and I wrote it into the computer, that what had come to me, and then the other half just wrote itself. And I sent it to my editor and he was like, this is it. I think we changed one word. And so I'm very clear that Wayne helped me write it that night. And sometimes, again, it's not my timing, it's God's timing, life's timing, love's timing.
Always, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Holy smokes. All right.
Let's
So
go.
we sold 1 million copies now of I Love You More. We did a lot of that self-published. Oh my goodness. We packed up my friend's F-150 truck twice and we drove from the Gulf Stream waters of Florida to the redwood forests, getting accounts, and it was just all magic. We then came back and packed up the truck and brought it up to Oprah Land because she still had her show in Chicago. And I like sold out of books again. And there's so many cool stories of meeting people along the way who became big fans of the book and helped get the book in the world in big ways. I almost landed on Oprah 3 times, but 4th time is going to be a charm, including when I was in Chicago. And then some of you may have seen videos with Lilou Massé. She's based in France now, but she's interviewed everyone. Dr. Joe is actually her daughter's godfather. So she's one of the person that helped bring Dr. Joe up until now to Paris, because I think they're having an issue with that now. But I started this thing called Co-Creating Our Reality and had this incredible experience where it was not meant to be mine. It was meant to be Lilou's. But we almost got on Oprah with that. They had created a segment of our community and we weren't going to be on the show, but this video is going to play. They did 2 shows on The Secret. And then they said, we're not going to show you the segment, but know that all 3 co-founders are featured prominently. You're going to be really happy with it. So I was actually on book tour in 2008, and I brought my mother out to San Diego because we have family there. And we were having brunch and toasting, and I'm like, right about now, Oprah's saying, and wait till you see what these 3 women have created with this Co-Creating Our Reality. And both the tapings of The Secret went long and they never showed the piece. So, and then I was interviewed outside the Oprah studios when I went to the show. One of my good friends brought me to the show once and they asked if anybody has anything to say about the state of the world. And they interviewed me outside. And I was like, we just have a lot of breakdowns, the education system, the, insurance, prisons, there's a lot that needs to be redone. And they were like, oh, well, and I said it a little bit better than that, but they were like, that's really great, but can you say it and be mad? And these were Oprah producers. So like, that's not who I am. But I said, of course I can. So I tried to do it and it wasn't authentically me. So I wasn't meant to be on with that because I think we can be really clear about what's working and what's not working. We don't have to be mad and upset about it. And more can get accomplished from that space versus anger and frustration. So.
Amen. All right.
Yeah.
Quick timeout. I'm going to be shifting. So I got invited to a baseball game this morning by my father. I'm really excited about it. Luckily, it doesn't interrupt this. I just have to shift. So what I'm going to do is everybody's going to be muted. If you want to say anything, you can unmute yourself. Okay. All you have to do is click unmute. But I'm going to be in my car. I'm still going to be here. But the way, Laura, please, finish up what you're saying, not to cut anything off. I just wanted to make sure that, when you see me, I'll be in a car. And so Laura will be answering questions when she's done, but I'll be here. It'll be a different, little different of a setting, but everything's going to keep going smooth. But all right, keep going and I'll
Awesome.
see you in a second.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to really do the Cliff Notes version. Then we'll take some Q&A if there is.
Beautiful. And by the way, thank you again, Laura. This has been incredible to listen to. Again, it's again, the things you're going through, but it's more so your understanding of how to receive it and do something with it. And how you do that is a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, I think, one of the biggest things that I am still learning is that when we don't resist the situations, like, you know, resisting the hair loss, resisting my friend dying, um, then space gets created for a new relationship, a new expression to show up. There's some big things happening in the world of my books and publishing now, and I'm learning to embrace them, not resist them. Uh, I brought this to show that you know, we ended up switching to a publisher and Source Books, which I was so excited because the name Source Books, I'm like, I couldn't wait to meet them to find out, you know, why the name was that. And we had all these little God incidences about our companies too. And it was a female-owned publishing company that was just getting started with their children's imprint. But we got a message from the editor one day, and he said, you know, I've got some really great news. You got your first foreign rights deal. He's like, it's just a little odd because it's somebody we've never worked with. It's South Korea. And I was like, oh, not odd at all. My angel is Korean. And so, you know, you just can't make that stuff up. So that was the first foreign rights deal. And then the second one was Israel. And the cool thing about Israel was not only did the book read front to back and left to right, but it also read right to left because they open up their books on the opposite way. So we had created the mission to generate the conversation of love around the world. And that's what I was sharing with people when I would stop into stores unannounced and ask them to carry the book. And a lot of people, or several people commented, they're like, you know, the book is great and it's beautiful, but really it had so much with, like, you know, who you were being and how you presented it that made us want to connect with it and have it in the stores. And oh, I wanted to share this, that I was doing landmark seminars, and one of the assignments we had was to make an unreasonable request of someone. So it's a really cool practice to take on. And I took my self-published book to my favorite store on Las Olas Boulevard, which is kind of like our Fifth Avenue or Main Street, filled with stores and cafes. And it was my favorite store, but I had never met the owner and his wife. And the wife flipped through it and she's like, I think it has some potential, but you know, you'll need to come back and talk to my husband. So I went to talk to him, and he was in this big messy office, and he's this big guy who I joke could play like Oscar the Grouch on Broadway. And I was like, oh, you know, he's like, I don't carry books. And I was like, yeah, but I think it goes with your story, people. And they had Sarks, How to Really Love a Child. She's a really great author, but they just had her blanket. And he's like, I said, you know, we just got an endorsement from Wayne Dyer. He's like, I don't much like Wayne Dyer. And I picked myself up off the floor. And he said, well, I'll take 10 copies as long as if they don't sell, that I can give them back. I don't think I even knew what consignment was then, but that was a Monday. And Thursday he called me and said they had sold those 10, and he took another 12. And by Monday he called and he said, those 12 are gone. How do they come? I said, they come in cases of 40. He said, come to my office with a case. And he said, I didn't know that he was the #1 American craft and gift gallery that year. So he started giving me the names of galleries and gift shops across the country. And people were like, send me 4 cases and overnight one. And they were paying for shipping, and it was just surreal. So we ended up in all of these really awesome high-end American craft and gift galleries. And the economy wasn't doing good at that time, but the luxury market hadn't really gotten hit. So our book was doing really well. That led to, my mother was still a kindergarten teacher, so I went to her classroom and realized like right away that I was going to have the opportunity to share about my bald head. And it's turned into a whole program called You Are a Star, Keep Shining, where I go in and I talk about the power of being yourself and how that's what really works best. I talk about the way that we're all the same, is that we love to be loved and to give love. And then, and this is so in alignment with Dr. Joe's work too, the message that came to me while I was walking and meditating one morning on the beach to write in this book is, you are a magnificent gift to your family and the world. And that turned into the message of my second book, which is the You Are a Gift to the World, and the world is a gift to you. And then my third book is the I'll Hug You More, and I'm working on No Matter What, You Are Loved, and No Matter What, I Am Loved. And in my school programs, I talk to the students. I say, all right, now I need you all to really listen up because I'm going to tell you something that I don't think you've heard before in school. And that is that we're all geniuses. Well, I ask them, how many geniuses do I have in here? All the little hands go up. Then when it gets the older students, they look around to find the kids that they have deemed smart. But I share with them that I believe that we all have our own unique gifts and talents. And they're like seeds planted in our heart. And we're here to listen to our heart and discover those talents and gifts. Part of our genius too is being ourselves, 1 in 8 billion. And then we use our brain to study, to practice, to learn. And then it's our opportunity and possibly even our obligation to go out and share and shine our gifts and talents in the world. So then we do a genius cheer and we do a I shine cheer. I tell them that by design, we're all stars meant to share and shine our own light and love in the world. And I share the cheer, which is, it's kind of like YMCA. We do I shine, you shine, we shine, star shine. And I show them that by design, they are a 5-pointed star. We all are meant to share and shine our own light and love in the world. So I've been delivering that now for coming up next year. The book celebrates 25 years in the world. And I'm getting ready to do a big tour and promotion. And my publisher is getting ready to potentially let this version of I Love You More go out of print. So it's a big conversation that I get to have with them, because they have 2 other versions, this size and a smaller size that they do better with, but because they promote it more. And this is the last part that I'll share, and then we'll go to questions. I manifested 2 incredible mentors. And the first one is I was working at a market, and I was explaining to a woman who had her baby strapped to her, oh, have you seen my books before, and showing her the flip format. And a woman walked up and she's like, you're the author of that book. She had a tear in her eye. She's like, I read that book to my kids every night. She's like, no, every night. And she just kind of took over and, sharing, which was beautiful and awesome. And then she's like, I work for Katie Couric Media now. When your next book is ready, let me know and we'll send it out. And then we became, connected. And it turns out she was the president of a little company called Life is Good for 5 years. So last summer I was down at her house on the Cape and in Mashpee. And she said, okay, standing out 3 years from now, what has happened that, you've been successful? And I said, well, I hadn't really given it any thought, but I was like, well, we've sold 10 million copies, 10 million more copies of my book, because we had finally gotten to 1 million. So, and my number's always been 11 million. And I really feel in my heart that we're going to get to 11 million and then it will just go from there. But I said 10 million books. And she's like, okay, like she doesn't think anything of that. She's like, I think, we should really plan for this 25th anniversary tour and do a cross-generational tour. And I loved all her ideas. But afterwards, I started thinking like, oh, how are we going to do this? We're going to sell 2. And I know we don't really need to know the how, but I was like, we're going to sell 2 million this year and then 3 million the next and then 5 million. And that was August. And in October, I was doing the affair on La Solis. And this guy was talking to my mom while I was busy signing books, and he handed my mother a card. And so afterwards I got up and I said, I said, are you an author? And he's like, yep. He's like, I've written some books. And he's really eclectic. And I said, anything that I would know? And he goes, yeah. He's like, you might know my book, Serendipity. And I was like, Serendipity? I said, with Princess Laura and Bobby and the Pink Sea Monster? And he's like, yeah. And I said, I didn't even know that was a book. I said, I have a VHS cassette of that, like an 1.5-hour movie. I said that I watched over and over and over and over again with my nieces and nephews when they were young. Now they're 24 to 30. And it's definitely the movie that I've seen the most. And my soul brother is Bobby. So I was always like, are they really saying Princess Laura and Bobby in Serendipity? And he's like, yeah, it's a book. I've sold 94 million copies of them. He's like, my books have sold 340 million books that he started self-published in the 70s. So there I was just like, okay, God is letting me know that 10 million books is really doable. I've got an incredible team physically. Oh, and I also, I call my, somebody once told me I needed to get a board of advisors. And I said, do they need to be physically here? Because I have
Right.
a TOA, a team of angels. And they I serve as my board for the most part now, but I'm also working on that board of advisors, I think. So thank you for your patience. I'm working on my memoir story. That's serendipity author really suggested that I write my story because he thinks that it will help with everything. And then I can really give the Cliff Notes versions when I'm asked to speak rather than trying to fit my whole life into 45 minutes or an hour, which is what we've done now. So let me wrap up here. I know Robby's in the car. I thank you for your listening, for your, there's so much power when we get to share our stories. And I really honor that. And so let me wrap up. And if there's anyone that has any questions about anything, feel free to ask.
So actually, Laura, I'm here. I think you could hear me, right?
Yes.
You can. All right, cool. So I'm here. Thank you very much, Laura, for everything. If anybody has anything they want to share, just raise your hand. I can navigate from here. I didn't realize that I could.
Okay.
So I'm
but if you're
hosting,
driving, if people can
in the
unmute
chat-
themselves, they can do
I don't know how
I'm
to
not-
raise my
I'm
hand on my phone.
driving, but I'm okay. So
Okay.
yeah, so anybody, just to keep order, can you please? And Ginny, I see you're going to go first, but just so
Okay.
we don't talk over each other, just put your emoji hand up, or and I'm looking at faces. If you don't know how to do that, just go like this, and I'll see you.
Oh,
But Ginny, you're up. But yeah, Laura, that was
well,
incredible.
yeah,
My
it was
God.
incredible.
There
Well,
you
I
go.
just want to say, like, I'm sitting here going, like, wow, because first it was the 55, and then you talked about the 11. Well, my birthday is 1/10/55. I've always had a thing for numbers, and I'm just like, okay, and maybe, and you mentioned an intergenerational tour or something, like, I don't know, maybe I have to roll the play now that I'm, well, I don't know, but I just feel like, okay, Laura, we are connected, and of course we are, but I'm just sort of tripping out on a number of things that came up, and that's part of it. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Ginny. You get to own the 55. So I am, as of July 10th, I just turned 57. But 55 was like, and I really, favorite's one of my least favorite words, but I met this little girl at an art festival on La Solis, and she was so sassy, and she was like having so much fun. And they came over, the family was from Ohio. They were like, oh, we already have I Love You More. We're going to get your other book. And I'm talking to the little girl, and I'm like, you know, how old are you? And she held up her hand. She goes, I'm a handful.
Oh, that's
And I was like, oh, I'm like, I'm two handfuls. So all of a sudden I really embraced. So now you get to be two handfuls all the time because you are 55.
yeah, right. Somebody, more than one person probably has called me a handful. So.
Yeah, I take that as a compliment.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
Oh gosh, that's
Thanks
great.
for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks.
Ooh, thanks, Jenny. Really quick, I'm just going to read some comments. I don't have all of them because I signed into my phone. Anne Marie just said, Laura, you opened my eyes to rewrite my experiences. Thank you. Karen, I love listening to your story. I could listen to you for hours more. Thank you for sharing. I love you. From Cecilia, thank you for sharing your story, and special thank you for sharing the long version. That's what I said that on mute earlier too. I agree. You and your story are so beautiful and inspiring. And from Tina Watson, I love you and I love your story so much. And there's 31 people in the room right now, and there were 33 when Ginny was talking about the 55.
Awesome. Yeah, there's no mistakes. There are no mistakes. We're living a
And
very guided life. Awesome.
indeed. I see Thor is unmuted. I'm not sure if that was intentional, or if not, now you got the floor.
Yes. Laura, thank you so much for sharing your story. And it is inspiring beyond belief. And I love how you shine, and that you teach how to shine. And the aspect of whatever we have to deal with is an initiation, and it's a lesson for us to deal with. And it's all for a reason. And I am in a wheelchair, and I have hated being in a wheelchair. I have wanted to put a wig over my wheelchair if I could do that and cover it up because I don't like being in a wheelchair. But I know now that it's for a reason, and that everything that I've gone through, you explained your story, you explained the hangovers, you explained the drunk, whatever, the times have all been for a reason. And I'm just so grateful to hear you talk about sharing your story and writing your memoir, which I just started writing a book. And I'm revisiting a lot of aspects of my life that I wouldn't have been able to write about 6 months ago or a year ago. Because my favorite quote from Dr. Joe is, when you take the emotional charge out of a memory, it becomes wisdom. Well, I have a lot of wisdom, but they've been emotionally charged for a very long time. And so to take the emotional charge out of my story and to be able to put it on paper has really been a challenge for me. And I just love hearing you about self-publishing, about the hurdles that you've overcome. And Lala Deaton is one of my very good friends, as I know she is with you. And I just really want to say thank you for showing up today. I almost slept in today, and I just kept on telling myself, show up, Jim, just show up. And there's a reason I showed up today. And you've showed up for you, and you've showed up without your hair, and you shine. And that's what we're all here to do. And I just want to say thank you for passing that message on. And thank you for the inspiration. And I look forward to connecting with you at another time. I know that Robby has mentioned you so many times, and there's something there. So thank you, and I love you more.
Thank you. I usually say impossible to that, but let's just keep expanding the awareness of love, right? And the experience of it. Jim, I'm very familiar with you and your story too, and I am honored that you're here and that you saw something in my story. And the little nudge that I'm getting right now is I think maybe we need a writers group here to possibly like an accountability group to getting our memoirs written.
Yep, I'm in, and I'm also 55 years old, so I'm a double handful as well. So I'm in.
Hey,
I
now.
can't raise up my other hand right now, but I'm a double handful. So 1, 2.
Yeah.
And
Let's go.
I think a big message is coming through right now with I Love You More is what I'm learning about writing is how angry I've been at people in my life and how I need to love them through this process, and how it's the love that is allowing me to write. And as I'm loving, the writing and the words are coming out more. As I'm not angry about it, as I'm changing that viewpoint of it, the words are coming out more. So that's really resonating. The love, it's all about love, right? It's all about love.
Yeah. Yeah. Loving the other people, but also really loving ourselves too. And that was I appreciate you saying that. What I came to find out about the book is that it was written so that we all know, because it helped me the love helped me shed the wigs. So the book was written so that we all know that no matter what's going on in our lives, like my sister and my nephew, in our heads, or in my case, on my head, but so many of us are telling ourselves stories that are not loving. And in the world, like the events of like September 11th, or a lot of what we're dealing with now, that no matter what is going on, we are loved beyond measure, infinitely, always, always. So, yeah. I'm going to have to do a reading of the book, but I won't do it today. I'll do it and we'll send it out. And the people that were in Captiva got to hear the book, but it's a really beautiful message that's just really heart opening. Oh, great guy. I put the TEDx talk in there. So the TEDx talk was, I had pitched the alchemy of love, and nobody else had given that talk. And I love the idea of being an alchemist, but there was something that wasn't sitting right with me. And a couple of years ago, I had written in the sand, "Happy Fall, y'all." And as I wrote YALL in the sand, I saw it as an acronym for "You Are Limitless Love." And so that's what I ended up doing my talk. Y'all, you are limitless love, and having that be a call to action. And what a wonderful way to greet one another by calling forth the truth of who we are, even like verses like, yeah, and if you're just talking to one person, you can say hello, love. But if you're talking to two or more people, we can say hello, y'all, and have it be a reminder of who we are.
That's probably very big in Nashville, right?
You know, I'm from Boston and I started using it when I went to Maryland. And then I share this in the TED Talk. I moved to South Beach, Miami, which is not the South, and I kept using y'all. And then I moved to Nashville where everybody says it. But it's just kind of a neat way to take something that so many people do say and have it be really recognizing the truth of who we are, limitless love. Like what happens when we start living like that? And we plant that seed and that awareness into our young people who know it, but part of the job is forgetting it. But I think that we can remind them, and they can remember and wake up to it sooner than maybe this, and make the planet a brighter place to live.
Beautiful. Hey, so we got some more comments I wanted to read just to make sure you saw them. Tina, she wasn't finished writing. She wrote, "I love you and your story so much. I just lost my daughter and you were inspiring." And Tina, just sending you some love.
Yeah.
From Kate, Captiva Kate, "Laura, you are an absolute gift. Thank you for sharing your truth and light. You are loved. You are loved." From Tanya, sorry for pronunciation if I'm wrong. Or actually, I got one of them right, I'm sure. Jim, you are very precious. Thank you for sharing. From Karen Valesco, thank you. Thanks for your heart, energy, and kindness. I can feel all the angels with us today. Being here today was a gift. Very powerful. Thanks, Karen. From Nara and Scott Smith. Hey, Scott. Hey, Nara. "Laura, amazing as ever you are. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your love." And from Teresia, "Thank you for sharing your amazing story, Laura. Your gifts are sacred, and the way you use them to extend love." The way you use them, keyword. That was great to say. Your gifts are sacred, and the way you use them to extend love, to uplift others, and to plant seeds of truth and worthiness in the hearts of children through your books is a ministry of the highest kind. What you offer reminds us all that we are loved, we are worthy, we are deeply connected to something greater. Oh, there's more.
Yeah.
From Cecilia, "I would love to get the TED Talk link." So yeah, everybody, everything will be shared. Everything via Laura Duksta will be shared in the Sunday Journeys. And I'm sure Laura will go ahead and share stuff in the Dot Connectors as well. This is also from Gaia. "Jim, I had to use a cane for a while because of my neuropathy. Like you, for a while, I wish I could put a wig over my cane. Now I have no fear of going out. People see. I love you." From Valerie, "Thank you. Merci." From Nara and Scott Smith, "Yes, writers group." Right. So got a seed planted there, Laura.
Yeah.
From Ginny, love the writers group idea. Yes, to the writers group.
Okay.
Bing love. And Gaia just posted the TED Talk if anybody didn't see that. And then from Tina as well, "I also want to write my memoirs. I've been told for years that I should write a book, and I think my angel is pushing me." I think so as well, Tina. I think not pushing. I think a bit more powerful than a push. Go for it. From Anne Marie, "Love you all more. Thanks, Robby, for inviting Laura. Now I get why you are working PARC. It all makes sense. You and Laura are on a divine mission." From Jessica, "Laura, I love you and hearing your stories and so glad to know you." Beautiful. Look at all that love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So if there's anybody, and by the way, quick note, you keep mentioning your mother was a nurse. I think I mentioned this to you already, but when we did, your mother was a nurse as kindergarten teacher for almost 4 years. My mother was for 30, maybe even more. And when we did the Summer of Love, I just showed her the book. She's like, "I know that book. I read it to all my students." It's like the first book she reads. Yeah. So, really cool. Yeah. You're touching those, which I already know. You're touching those that you don't even know, but I already know that you know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, if there's anybody else who would like to physically or, vocally say anything, please feel free. If not, we're going to wrap up the call. This is being recorded. And again, next week we'll be back. I'll be the guest, ironically. But please, if anybody has anything else to say, the floor is yours. And then I'll let Laura close it out. Michelle. And then
I just want
Kathleen.
to say thank you very much for Robby for hosting the journeys again. And thank you, Laura. Thank you for sharing your love and for following your angel guidance and for just the journey. That's the transformational steps of all, and being willing to listen deeply in your heart and be led and share all that you have to share out there. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful we got to have the time together and look forward to more. Writers Group's cool. I'd do that. And yeah, I'm just so thankful for everyone on here and the journey, understanding that what the journey's doing. It's a beautiful thing. And it takes courage and bravery sometimes, right? Yeah.
Thank you, sister. So good being here with you after being with you in Captiva. What a gift.
Yes, so much love.
Yeah. Good to see you, Michelle. All right, Kathy Joy.
Hey, just quickly, to even find the words to just let you know how heart-opening and amazing, just hearing your story and having had some time with you. I just send you lots of love and gratitude.
Thank you, Kathy Joy. Good to be with you too. And I really tried to hold back and not share too much of my story while I was with everyone in Captiva because I knew this was happening and I didn't want it to be a repeat. So I appreciate those so many of you that were there coming today and being here. So good.
Hey guys, by the way, I'm with my dad, and he's the guy you guys sent love to last week when he was in the hospital. Say what's up, Dad. What up? Yeah.
Now you're on your way to a baseball game.
We're going to a baseball game now. Yeah.
Nice.
All right, guys. Hi, Dad, from a bunch of people that just typed.
Thank you. And the ones who are in Cape Cod.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He saw familiar faces. All right, guys. What a great way to come back, Laura. I'm so happy that you started all this. You definitely opened a floodgate for momentum within these calls. So thank you for being you. Thank you for living your purpose, and thank you for letting everyone else know that they have that in them as well. And please feel free to close it out.
Yeah.
Any way you like.
Well, I think the best way to close it out is just in that way that I sign the books. And well, we did this in Captiva. So the messages that I write in the books, and maybe we'll start from the end, but that your love and hugs. So I want everybody to place a hand on your heart and know that your love and hugs brighten up our world. You are the best, biggest, and brightest gift of all. And you are a magnificent gift to your family and the world. Always know how truly loved you are. Keep shining. That's how
Let's
I
love and
sign
go.
all my
Keep shining.
books. I think, yeah, let's love and go.
Let's
love
love
you
and go.
all. Thank you so much
And
for being here.
all information for Laura will be in the Sunday Journeys. I posted my info in the chat. So if you're not in the group, please just email or text me and I'll add you to the group. You'll get all information, Laura's links to everything. The book thing, we're going to keep that going. The energy for the writers group. Let's do something with that. It takes energy to make it keep going. So if you were interested, hop on board and let's make it happen. All right, guys. Love you. Laura just posted her info as well. So God bless. Have a beautiful day and let's go, Laura.
Happy Sunday, y'all. I love you.
Happy Sunday, guys. See you next week. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.